This is a trigger warning. This episode contains adult themes. This episode contains references to suicide and mental health. And if you need some help, please make sure you reach out and talk to someone. We are back for the very first episode of the year of The Divine. And today I have with me the lovely Brittany Stevens.
Yeah. We don't use that name.
Yeah. But then like your Instagram name is Brittany Linda. And I was like, surely your mum wouldn't give you Linda as a last name.
I just don't tell people it's Stevens.
Why?
I just don't like it.
I love it.
Sounds like very
white.
Yeah.
But you are very white, but you can speak Mandarin though. So Brittany and I have been friends for how long now? Do you even remember?
Couple of years.
Yeah, because you reached out to me on Instagram as an influencer because you're also an amazing hairdresser as well as an amazing fitness guru. I'm not going to talk about hairdressing today, but you messaged me on Instagram, or I think I messaged you.
No, I messaged you.
Yeah.
I messaged you because I saw somebody else collab with you.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, come in. Like, I want to do your hair. I was like, amazing. I came in. I was like, get my hair done for free. Yeah. You did an amazing job, and I've never left you ever since. Yeah.
We just clicked like that.
I know. So thank you for coming on today.
My pleasure.
Do you want to introduce yourself to my audience?
Yeah, so I'm Brittany. I'm
Linda
26. Stevens. Brittany Linda. I'm 26. I'm a nutritionist, a hairdresser, bit of everything. Basically, I got into the fitness industry maybe 7 years ago now. I used to do a little bit of bodybuilding, and then now I basically just take on clients and teach them how to lose weight and how to become a better version of themselves.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So why, like, how did you, I don't even know the story of how you started bodybuilding. So because obviously when I knew you, you were a hairdresser. I didn't know like you had this whole fitness side thing. And
I keep them super separate.
Yeah.
I have like the Brittany Linda side, and then hairdressing is probably more Brittany Stevens.
Yeah. The white person.
Two different personalities there. I got into bodybuilding. Honestly, I remember I started going to the gym when I was in a relatively bad relationship. And I remember saying, I'm going to go and get muscles. And then he was like, what the fuck? What do you mean you're going to go get muscles?
You can swear on this podcast. It's my podcast. You can say fuck.
Well, yeah, I was literally like, he was like, what the fuck? And I was like, no, I'm going to get big. I'm going to get big muscles. And he was like, yeah, okay, cool. You're going to get big muscles. And I did. Yeah. I went to the gym and I went so hard at it. And then it was like not enough for me. I needed to take another step, and I got into bodybuilding. And I competed a couple of times, but every time I competed, I ended up really sick. I ended up in hospital. I just took it way too far. I don't think I had like enough knowledge then on fitness and nutrition, and then that's when I started studying because I just wanted to learn more about, I guess, what was happening inside my body and why I was reacting this way when so many other people do it and they seem fine, but I got so sick every time.
And what was the reason why you got so sick?
Different reasons every time, but I think the bottom line came down to I wasn't asking enough questions. There was I just trusted what I was told without asking, like, why am I doing this? Is this necessary? Like, talking about how I feel. And I wasn't really listening to my body. I was just listening to what the coach told me to do, which in some cases it isn't always right for everyone, and I should have just asked more questions. The last time I went in was literally just because I was malnourished. Yeah. And they said to me, you can't do this. Your body can't keep up. You're running yourself into the ground. On top of bodybuilding, I was like working so many hours and I was pushing myself too hard. And then, the last time when I stopped competing and finally came back to normal weight, I just haven't gone back to it since because it drains you mentally as well. And now that I know so much more about nutrition, I guess looking back, I can definitely see all the mistakes that were made, and I wanted to be able to show people that you can do it healthy. You don't have to sit there and train like a bodybuilder and eat like a bodybuilder to be happy with the way that you look and be happy with the things that you do. Yeah.
So do you feel like your relationship with like your ex-boyfriend at the time really was the main driver behind you wanting to like work on yourself and look better, or like did he sort of make you feel some kind of way? Was that the driver behind it? Because I know for a fact when I was dating my ex-boyfriend, who was like a massive gym junkie and all that stuff, he used to make me feel really bad about the way I looked. And I would like get like sort of body dysmorphia about it. So then I'd force myself to go to the gym and like do things like really in an unhealthy way, like, you know, doing cardio for an hour after a weight session just because of like this need and this drive to make myself look and fit a certain stereotype that he wanted me to be. Was that sort of similar to why you started bodybuilding, or did you just wanted to do it for yourself?
I feel like it sparked something in me, but I don't think it was really because of him. I think it was more of like because I felt like I'd been put into this position of like, I guess like the man was always in control of everything. Like he was so in control of the relationship that I wanted to do something like, no, like I'm in control of this. This is me. This is like, I'm powerful, I'm strong. And I was like, I want to feel strong. I was very complacent. I didn't say a lot. I didn't have a lot to say. I just sort of sat in my place and did as I was told. And then once I like flicked the switch and was like, no, like this is not me. I felt like I needed to sort of back that up with something. And I think the gym is where that started.
Yeah.
The gym, when I started there, I was like, and even then I was still so shy and I was very timid and I didn't talk a whole lot. And then I guess from the gym, I was so shy. I remember I went to the gym. I remember like 6 months I was going there every day, and then they closed down the women's area and had to train in the normal area. I like bawled my eyes out. I was like, I can't go in front of people. Like, I can't. You want me to go out there? I couldn't do that.
So how did you get over that, though?
I just had to keep going. I was lucky I had really good friends at the time that I met at the gym. And I remember them literally saying, what's wrong with you? Like, why wouldn't you go out there? I was like, I can't. There's too many people. Like, ran back into the toilets. And I was like, I can't. And I think over time of slowly just telling myself it's going to be okay, it did become better. And then now it is what it is. Every gym is my playground.
Because now if you look at you,
you just get used to it.
Yeah.
You know, you have to just push yourself a little bit harder, and then you sort of rebuild this love for that almost. Like it turns the nervousness into excitement.
Yeah. You got to do something that makes you uncomfortable every day for just a little
100%.
bit. Yeah.
I'm such a big advocate of that. You have to like take yourself out of your comfort zone or else you're not going to grow.
Exactly.
And if I didn't do that back then, I'd probably still be this shy little girl who was too scared to talk to people. But that's just how I was back then. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I really admire that because that was like for me when I started my fitness journey. Like I by no means can ever bodybuild because I think I just love food too much. Because when you used to tell me the stories about how like you had to like measure everything you eat, I
still do measure everything I eat.
Fuck that.
But it's to a different extreme now. Now it's like so that I can enjoy better foods in a larger quantity.
Yeah. I really admire the dedication to that because I wish I was like as dedicated to something like that in my life instead of just partying.
It's okay. We love that side of D. We love that side of D.
Yeah. So with your nutrition and coaching side of things, like how do you sort of take your clients through the whole, if they were to start the journey, do they come to you seeking bodybuilding advice or is it more like to get fit and healthy? What do your clients sort of come to you for?
My main clientele is weight loss, but it's never a completely straight line. Some people have been dieting for such a long time or dieting the wrong way and their habits are completely wrong. Mentally, they don't want to eat carbs. They've told themselves if you eat carbs, you're going to get fat. You have to go and do 4 hours of cardio a day to lose weight. Weights make you bulky. All of these little myths sort of you have to lead them away from and you've got to be able to pull them into their maintenance phase and be comfortable with eating more to be able to then say, okay, now we can pull it back and I can show you how to do it the right way. So I guess that's definitely a big thing. It's hard because sometimes they've got it so embedded in their brain that they need more of a mental coach first before you can actually show them how to lose weight.
Yeah, and social media I feel like doesn't really help that as well. Like you look at all these like fitness influencers, a lot of them have been like showing the more real side of themselves, like this is their struggles and stuff, but a lot of them still do like, you know, face tune or editing the photos, which makes it unrealistic for someone who wants to like change their body and they compare themselves to other people saying, why don't I look like that? And I feel like it's just, you know, everybody is different. Like not everyone's going to look the same. Not everyone's going to have a 6-pack or like an 8-pack. You just have to do what's right for your body. Yeah. And that's something like that I struggled with personally a lot. Like, you know, even with my time on TV, I remember I was never really like self-conscious, but when I was on TV, I became more self-conscious because then I started comparing myself to how like my reality TV star castmates would look. And I'd be like, well, why don't I look like that? Why should I start fixing this? And it's so common in the industry to change something about yourself if you're not happy through surgery. Yeah. And I'm just thankful that I had like really good friends in my life who like told me like to never do it or whatever, because there's nothing wrong with doing surgery, obviously, but I'm more of like, for what reason? Why do you want to do it? You know, is it because you want validation from other people, or is it because like it's a deep rooted thing that you need like from yourself? Yeah. So do you ever feel like pressured because, you know, you are in the industry to ever like feel like, oh, I want to like do this little tweak to change my body? Or do you feel pressured to like edit your photos in a certain way or whatever to make it look like you match the industry standards of what a fitness influencer should look like?
I feel like I've definitely been through that phase. I think that's probably back when I was competing, especially when I went back to a normal weight. I remember feeling like going back to normal weight, I was like, now I don't look like I train. Now I just look like a normal person. It's just not good enough. Like I need to look like an athlete. I need to look a certain way. I need to be lean enough. Now it's not, I feel like I preach so much that I like to just be a healthy person, and I like to heal, and I think I preach that so much more, that being natural now is the way.
Yeah.
You know, that is how I am, and that is how I preach. And I think that comes with a really long time. Like it takes a long time to get yourself there. But I definitely used to go through that. I remember going through stages and you're always like face tuning things, you're editing things, you're smoothing things, you know, put on a bit of weight and you have a bit of cellulite and you're like, oh, people are going to judge me. Seeing me out in public without makeup on, I don't wear makeup half the time, but you'd feel like if someone saw you out, they'd be like, oh, they're going to think I don't look like my Instagram photos. It's such a big thing. Social media, it definitely ruins people. It has a lot of good to it, but there's definitely a bad side to it that can push people further down, for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of my, you know, insecurities and stuff do stem from my childhood. I was talking to my parents about it this weekend because we had a family meeting. Like we never usually have a family meeting, but I just feel like there's just been such like a mass disconnect between my family and I recently. So I really just wanted to sit them down because my brother, he's 22 now, and he's like getting to the stage where he doesn't feel like he wants to be at home because with like, I don't know if I told you a bit of this, but my mum, she's like an immigrant from Vietnam. So like she grew up in Vietnam where it was like at the end of the war and it was really like hard and harsh. So growing up here, when she came to Australia, she had me, she didn't really know how to mother me in a way that was nurturing or any way that could like help boost my self-esteem. So her love language was a lot of criticism. So she used to make a lot of comments about my body and like the way I looked and all that stuff. And it's very common in the Asian culture to talk about like someone else's body image. And that was like a massive thing I dealt with like growing up. And I had to say to her like recently, because recently I came home and she was like, oh, you know, you look really dark because you've been out in the sun and stuff. Like don't wear those clothes because it makes your like thighs look big. And I snapped and I said to her, Mum, like you gotta stop commenting on my body. Like I'm 29 years old now. I'm at the stage where enough is enough. And she just doesn't get that, like those little micro like comments over the years add up, and it really like, you know, it plays with your head. And I have like major anxiety, major issues about it. And it's only through like getting therapy and talking it out that I actually have, you know, managed to keep it under control. But I used to, have really dark thoughts swelling my head. And it's real intense. But that's something I talk about in my book that I have coming out in February. Yay. So that's a good segue into the book. But I wanted to show you this because it's my first draft. I've been talking about this for a while, and I felt like, you know, after the whole MTV cancellation thing, so much has happened like in my life, and a lot of people don't really like know where I came from or understand like why I am the way I am. And I wanted to create a book where I write down like, you know, my mum's story of how she came to Australia, how I was growing up in Australia as well, as sort of like a legacy piece for when I have children, because when I have children, they're not going to have the life that I did. They're going to have a great life, and I want them to know like their roots and like what it was like for me growing up. And there's a lot of themes in this that, you know, I would like hope that other women in my life or other women in general would really relate to, because a lot of it is, you know, a lot of things that all of us go through as women, like as coming of age and stuff.
Wow, that's amazing. I definitely think people will relate to that a lot, because sometimes people need to know that, especially when you have such, on your Instagram, you can see that you have this beautiful life now and you've got really lovely people around you.
And you're one of them.
I love you. I do know that, like, most of your story, I think, from what you've told me, and I know that there's probably a lot more that I don't know, and I think it's really important for you to share that to people, because the more that you talk about things like that, the more that other people understand, like, it's okay, they're going to be okay if they are going through something, and to be able to speak up and be able to talk about it and heal through it. It's not something you're going to carry through with you for your whole life. You are going to get through it, and you are going to feel better, and change is always, going to be there. So I think it's really nice, especially if when you have kids, your kids are going to read that and be like, wow, that's my mama.
I think that's why, like, I appreciate you so much and love you so much. Like, I remember when I first met you, we didn't really connect straight away, but we got to know each other, we started being more open and vulnerable with each other. And
I think we were also on a journey, and I don't think we were at the right part of our journey then to click.
Yeah, and right now I feel like I've gotten a lot closer to you over the last couple of months than I did, when we first met each other, because, we're both at this stage where we want to actively heal, and it's all part of, like, maturing and growing up. And I said to you the other day, like, one of my intentions this year is to have more connections that are more raw and real. Like, I want to have girlfriends where I could have conversations about this and about what's happened to me in the past, because having a book is really fucking vulnerable. Like, when I was writing it was good because it was really cathartic for me to heal, but it's also, like, it's bearing my soul, because in it I talk about, I don't know if I told you, but when I was, like, 6, I was sexually assaulted and all that stuff. I think I mentioned it on one of our drunken nights. We were crying.
Actually, I think we were sitting in the spa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were sitting in the spa.
And we were talking about my DMT trip with Asti. Yes.
Yes, we were.
Yes. Yeah, and yeah, you are one of my girlfriends that I feel like I can be really open and vulnerable with, and, like, you hold space for me, and I want to be like that for you as well and everyone in my life. So this book hopefully will allow that connection to open and flourish. Like, people would read it and hopefully, like, they can reach out to me and they talk to me about anything, because that's all I really want. It's all about connection, and it's this is why I want to do this podcast as well. Yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think by allowing yourself to be vulnerable, it allows space for that to heal as well. I mean, it's something that could possibly never 100% heal from, but taking the steps to do that sort of makes you be able to move past it and start this new mental chapter for you.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
Healing's a fucking beast of a journey, though.
It's a long journey.
It never fucking ends. Yeah. And, you see me go through, like, DMT, like, kinesiology, and, like, all these psychedelics and stuff. And I just feel like I'm almost 30 now. I'm 30 in, like, 6 weeks. What stage can I stop healing? Like,
heal forever, baby. Heal forever.
Why do I have to work on healing?
Because look how much better your life is now compared to where you used to be mentally. A lot of people don't go through the things that people like us have been through and come out in such a positive space.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's a big thing. Like, you see people all the time that's like, why me, poor me, this, that, and they just never come out of it. And they're the people that you end up distancing from, because you're like, well, poor you, but it's time to take action.
Yeah.
It's time. You can't say poor me anymore. It's let's move on. Yeah. And you've never done the poor me, maybe in a moment of, upset or, a moment of weakness, but you're like, no, I want to feel good, and I'm going to feel good, and I'm going to heal. That's it.
And like, it's there's a science behind why people have, like, the whole why me, poor me thing, because I feel like a lot of times it's a lot easier to just be, like, depressed and sit in that depression, because, like, your brain gets addicted to feeling like that and craving that sort of, like, like, deep dark depression. Because when I was going through it, when the whole cancellation thing, and I was in America, and I didn't want to talk to anyone, and I had friends, like, reaching out to me. You even reached out to me as well, and I just didn't want to talk to anyone, because it was just easier to just
downward spiral.
Yeah, to just sit in your own darkness and let those thoughts fester and, like, manifest. And it is actually, like, a really, like, big concern. And one of the only reasons why I got out of it was honestly just by exercising. Yeah. Which is such a big thing for your mental health. Yeah. The endorphins that are released in exercising, sometimes that's the only thing that can pick you up in that moment, even if you don't feel like doing it. Yeah. I remember I actually went through a bit of a period like that too, where I started to feel really down and depressed and just sort of like, what am I doing every day?
like, is my routine just, you get it so deep in routine, you're sort of looking for the end.
Yeah.
And then I remember I had sort of dropped off with exercising a little bit and I got back into it and I was like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why was I feeling like that? I just needed I needed to get back into routine, whether or not I wanted to do it. And then became a habit of, even if you don't feel like going, just go outside and exercise. Even if you're just going outside, even if you doesn't have to be the gym, do anything, go swimming, do something, get the endorphins going, because it like connects to your brain almost instantly. You feel better, you feel happy, and it's like, okay, I can actually do this. Like, I've got this. It's such a big thing.
I feel like I can take it to the extreme sometimes as well, because like sometimes I love exercising, I love working out, but then like other times I get too addicted to it. So like I do gym, I do Pilates, I do pole, I do swimming, I do yoga, I do everything. It gets to a point where like my body's literally like getting burnt out, but my brain, it's like I get addicted to that feeling of like, oh, I want to like feel this adrenaline. I want to be like, because I got such an addictive personality. I just love doing everything like at the same time. And, it's also hard because I do compare myself a lot to what I see on social media, and that's never going to go away, So what advice would you give someone like me who is like wanting to start their gym journey or like exercise journey, and like someone who's worried about like the body appearance or whatever? Like, what is the advice you can give someone?
Always start off with the basics, and don't do too much at once.
Yeah.
I feel like when people first get into exercising, especially when people come to me for like programs, they don't train, they're not eating right. And they're like, I want to eat everything to the T perfect, and I want to train 6 days a week. And then I'm going to do cardio on top of that.
Yeah.
I think you just got to start off with step one. And step one, I'd probably would say to start off with something like a really active day-to-day routine. So maybe just start by adding in walking first if you're not doing any exercise. Walking first and eating right. By eating right, it can be having some protein in every meal, veggies, and a small amount of carbs, and a little bit of fats on the side. There's usually like a rule of thumb. You say like a palm full of protein, a fistful of carbs, and then a thumb full of fats. So something that you're just sort of eating moderately during the day, because food is going to be the first thing that's going to give you nutrients to your brain. It's going to make you feel better. And then you're like, I've got a bit of a routine now. Then you can start off training. If you haven't trained before, I probably would advise to get a coach first, because it can go horribly wrong if you don't know what you're doing. Or start off with something that you think you'll enjoy, like Pilates.
Yeah.
So I'm not the biggest fan of sort of like functional training classes, because I think sometimes people can get a little bit injured in there because they take it too fast with not enough knowledge. But I think they're really good for people to help get into a routine of training. So classes are going to like motivate you to start off by going to the gym and starting your journey, and you can build on it from there. You can never get to step 5. You can't get there from straight away. You've got to build up to it.
Yeah.
You've got to start off with step 1, and you've got to be, just more active, get yourself into routine, and you can slowly work up to being this full-on gym junkie who wants to go to the gym every day. But definitely don't start off with everything at once.
And I think that's so important, especially like at this stage in the year, everyone's got New Year's resolution, and most people are like, I want to be fitter and I want to be healthier. And I'm notorious for that. After the Christmas period, you're drinking every single day. I'm like, yep, that's it. Cut out all alcohol.
Yeah, well, that's the big thing though, is you need to set little goals like that. Instead of saying cut out alcohol the whole month, maybe do like no alcohol during the week. And maybe a certain amount of maybe limit yourself to like 3 glasses of wine on the weekend.
Literally
max.
After New Year's, I was like, I'm doing dry January.
I actually remember you saying that.
And then I had like 2 birthdays and Juicy Fest. I was like, no.
Yeah, maybe February.
Yeah, February's my birthday, so no.
Oh, well, there you go.
Maybe March.
Maybe March.
Oh, God.
Maybe do it with you on March. No, but see, that's the thing, is I don't think cutting out anything altogether is a good idea. I think when it comes to alcohol, if it's more like a challenge for yourself, yes. But if you feel like, no, I need to cut out alcohol and I need to do this now, then maybe there's something more behind that. Like, it's it's got to be a whole thing together that you're getting healthy, not just one thing. If you're drinking too much, then maybe look at what it is that's causing. Is it too many social events? Maybe you need to work to go to social events without alcohol altogether and just see how you go. Exactly right. But if it's something that you're committed to doing, because if you go one extreme to the next time that you decide to add it back in, you're going to go 4 times as hard.
Yeah, and that's...
I have an addictive personality too, so I understand everything you're saying. I totally get it. I'm the same. I'm an extremist. I'm all in or all
girl,
out.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so true, because I remember I was talking to Rob, like the guy that I went and saw my kinesiologist for. So like before, I used to have a massive addiction problem with weed. Like I was smoking. Were you going to say something? No. Oh, I thought you were like waving. Sorry. I had a massive addiction with weed because I was finding like after like work or something, I can't wait for like 4:20 to like have a little smoke. But I was smoking almost every single day, and it got to a point where I wasn't even enjoying it. I was just doing it because out of habit. And he goes to me, why are you doing this? I was like, well, I just love the way I feel like when I'm relaxed and stuff. And he's like, well, that's something that's going on with your brain. You need it because of a certain like issue that you haven't addressed. And then he fixed that side of me, and like now I don't feel like I need it anymore. But yeah, in saying that though, like little steps to identify why you need to do those things. Like why do you need to drink so much? Why do you need to always be like present at these social events and getting drunk off your head? Like that's so important to really identify for your own sort of healing journey.
Yeah, big time. And being able to have control over them. Like even if, you know, it is a social month and you have found you've been having a little bit more alcohol than normal, are you having alcohol that you're in control of or are you not in control of it? Like are you going out and you're like, oh, I drank way too much last night, stuffed up again? Or is it more like had a couple of drinks, was good with it, I'm still in control of it, I don't need it every day?
Yeah.
I think alcohol is something that people don't realize when you do start drinking it so often that it becomes a problem, especially if it is social.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, I've been out so many times this week, I've had alcohol like so much in 1 week. I don't think we realize that, especially this time of year. It's such a busy time of year. People are out, there's events on, there's social things on. I don't think people realize the habit that they cause from alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm so bad for that because I work from home.
Yeah.
And I hope my employer is not listening to this podcast, but when I work from home, sometimes it's like, oh, fuck, can't deal with this day.
Afternoon wine.
Yeah, pour myself a little drink.
I totally understand that. Same with me. Get home from work, glass of wine, great one, just calm yourself down.
And they add up.
To be honest, actually, a glass of wine a day is actually not bad for you.
Oh, so.
Yeah, it's actually not bad. There is a lot of antioxidants in it. A glass of red wine is actually not bad, but it depends on what your goal is. If you're trying to lose
But there's
weight.
also like a lot of sugars in wine as well.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on what type of wines you go for. But
what about white wines?
White wines, there's more antioxidants in red.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's again, if you're only having one a day and it's like, that means one a day and also including the weekends. If you're having one a day and then 10 on the weekends, then no, that doesn't count. If it's one a day and also on the weekends, then that's also fine.
My problem is I can never stop at one glass of wine because it's so good.
That's why I just avoid it all during the week. It's too hard.
I know.
See, like extremists like us, you put things in place because you know that you're not going to stop at one.
I know.
If you're somebody that can control it, great.
Yeah.
But it just tastes so good.
I know. So yeah, like I feel like if anyone is sort of seeking advice for the new year to like get back into like fitness and health and like just recenter themselves and find their own stage of healing, they should definitely reach out to you. So can you please tell the audience where they can find you?
So you can find me through my Instagram, BrittanyLinda_fit, or my website is BrittanyLindaCoaching.com. And I have a apply now page on there where I give you a call and we have a chat about everything that's going on.
So what do you provide? What's your full service?
So I do nutrition plans where I give you education on what foods you're eating, why you're eating them, what they're going to do for your body. Depending on your goal, we will then give you, calories you can follow. And then I also give you a training plan. Doesn't need to be a weights program. Can be whatever you are ready to fit into your day-to-day lifestyle. And we check in quite a lot. I usually speak to my clients almost every day. So about every day, every second day.
How do you juggle that with your hair?
I get up at 4 a.m.
That's insane.
And I work from 4 till 7 on pre-preparing things when my clients usually aren't awake at that time.
Yeah.
So I pre-prepare it for when they're ready to go. And then when I go to the salon, I wait for an appropriate time and then send things out. In between
toners.
Yeah, pretty much. I give myself like set times in the day where I'll be able to duck out and do things. I've got a desk at the salon too, so I just work it in there. When you have two passions, you just make it work.
Well, what's your like main core passion if you could choose one?
I don't think I could choose one.
Yeah.
I think for me, fitness just started out so much as a hobby and then I became so, I guess I just kept learning so much. I was like, people need to know this. People need to know like there's so much about your body that it's just huge, you know. There's so much to learn, and I love teaching people that. But hair for me is different because I can make people feel beautiful. You know, when someone has like a reaction to see themselves in the mirror and they're like, oh my God, like the comments that you get, they're so fulfilling. People are like, wow, this is like my dream hair. You're like, wow, I did that for her. They're two completely different passions and different reasons why I love both. So I don't think I'd ever give any of them up. I think they're both there. They're set in stone.
It's really inspiring that you have hobbies where, you know, you can help other people, and not many people have those hobbies. So it's a really admirable quality of yours.
Thank you.
And that's why, you know, you're one of my best friends, and I love you so much.
I love you too.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.